Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is David Novak. For Historathon first quarter, I read a book about the Hittites, and I am in progress of reading Ancient Iraq by Georges Roux. I've put this on hiatus for a couple of weeks because I'm really trying to finish up this book in time to be able to begin reading Les Miserables with a group of other people over at Classics and Company. It looks like I may be finishing this with a couple of days to spare within the month, and then I will bulldoze my way through this if I can. I'm at page 200, and I'm about halfway, and so possibly I will be able to finish this up. If not the last day of the month, maybe the first day of next month, something like that. And then it will be time to be thinking about, or time to be making inroads into books pertaining to Historathon Quarter 2. Now, you may be asking what Historathon is. It is a year-long booktube event, I believe initially invented by Vin at Revenant Reads. And the year is split into quarters, each quarter devoted to a different segment of time. So the first quarter was anything from the year 500 and before. And there are reasons for that. I can't remember what they are, but to enable Historathon to coincide better with other booktube events. I'll put a link in the description box of some of Vin's videos pertaining to Historathon. And then the second quarter, it covers a long span from the year 500 to 1500. 1500 seems a bit of an arbitrary cutoff in a way, because as I'm going through my books, I'm noticing that the Renaissance in Europe has started, but a lot has yet to happen. And you sort of wish somehow the whole of the Renaissance could be encompassed in one part of that quarter demarcation. But be that as it may, I am going to do the best I can with the books that I have. So I will not be doing Aretino because he is just after the year 1500, and I will not be doing the Genius in the Design because this is also after 1500. But the other books that I picked out, which are somewhat Renaissance related, I believe fall into the window. But let me first show you my pile of possibilities as far as general introductions. The Middle Ages was something that I always wanted to learn about, and I over time accrued a good number of books that I never managed to read. Actually, 2 years ago, or is it 3 now, when I read Gibbon's Decline and Fall of the Roman Empire, that book gave me the best overview I could have asked for, and I now feel that if I am going to get my toes wet on any of these books, I am much more prepared than I would have been. Let me show you the very first book. When I was very young and deciding I should try to educate myself, I came across this book, a Pelican book, and I probably bought this one new and just was never able to get anywhere with it. I believe it's by Maurice Keene, and I believe it was something of a classic in its time. So it's a possibility. I have this, The Later Middle Ages by George Holmes, talking about England specifically. I really like George Holmes. I've read several of his books, and I think he's a really marvelous writer. But I have not read this one, so it's definitely a possibility. This book by Wallace Hadrill, I believe he is an important scholar, but I have no recollection anymore of who or what any of these folks might be or what was so important about their work. And I don't know if this particular book is the book that he was known for, but something I picked up at some time. Then I have, do you say Jean Gimpe, The Medieval Machine. I like reading about technology and the evolution of technology, the development of technology. So that's very definitely a possibility for me. It has a 93-cent price tag there. The next two apparently seem to be the same book, which I picked up at different times. And I think this author also is, or was in his time, considered something of a must-read scholar of the Middle Ages. So I will consider one of those. And then somewhere, one of the booktubers that I follow was talking about Mark Bloch recently, and I thought I had his book about the writing of history. It turns out I do. It was right next to this one, but I also have this. The only thing against this book is there, I don't know if you can see on the cover, there's this hole right here actually, and it kind of goes all the way into the book through the first chapters. So it's kind of, not that that would stop me. You can see it on the first. But then you've also got pages that are on the verge of falling out. I think I could make it through a reading of this edition, but this probably would be the last reading that anybody could get. I don't know if I want to do that. So those are my general Middle Ages. Now, going into the... Hey! Shh! Come here, you. Come here. Yeah. That's my boy. Well, let me get on. You're on TV, my boy. Or more likely on somebody's phone. Okay. I'll get back to my business. You get back to your business, okay? So, getting into the Renaissance, this is one I would like to hit on. Botticelli fits pretty neatly into the time frame. I believe he died just after the year 1500, something like that. I heard about this from a comment made by a viewer on Britta Bowler's channel, and it sounds terrifically interesting, but I can't remember exactly what it's about. Something to do with Botticelli's illustrations for the Divine Comedy, and so it also talks about Dante in here, who we know definitely fits into the time period. And then a couple of more. There's Brunelleschi's Dome, which might make for an interesting read. I'm not sure if I've read this one. I may have. It has a blurb on the back by Henry Petrosky, which his blurb counts for something with me. And then the last possibility is this history of the Borgias. And I don't know anything about the Borgias. I would like to learn about them. I am almost certain that I heard about this on the channel of Steve Donahue. So, last year I read Stephen Runciman on the Crusades, and I have thought about dipping back into the region. I believe Aaron Facer has a copy of this book and is planning to read it sometime this year, if not as part of this Historathon quarter. I would love to revisit Stephen Runciman, so this is a very good possibility. These Canto books are pretty awful. They really yellowed fast. Editorial-wise, I am sure they are very good, however. But I've just never really cared for the way the books age. And dealing with other topics of the Crusades, there's a book pertaining to a couple of eyewitness accounts, I suppose. Two famous old French chronicles were composed by soldiers who took part in the Holy Wars. So it might be a good way to augment my reading in Runciman. I also might like to see something about the Crusades from a different perspective other than that of the West. So this is a possibility as well. Now this does not deal with the Crusades. This is a little bit earlier, but talking about events in the Muslim world. And it sounds very interesting. It's definitely a possibility. And then getting back to the Crusade era, you've got a book about Saladin. Now, this author, Malcolm Lyons, is the fellow who I believe translated the Arabian Nights for Penguin, translated and edited. And I would like to learn about Saladin, so it's definitely a possibility as well. If you have read any of these books or know anything about them, I think I'm going to restrict my Historathon Q2 reading to those books which I just showed you, but I have no clue as yet as to which ones they will be. I will make the decision for the first book as soon as I finish Ancient Iraq, and then I will probably just make my choices by spur of the moment. I really disliked having to put this on the back burner in order to make progress with the journey to the West, so I'm going to try to avoid a duplication with that. When I read Les Miserables by Victor Hugo, I will possibly put that to the back burner as the case arises. The group Classics and Company allots 6 weeks to reading the book, which is better than 1 month. And regardless, I'm not going to push it. I have other events going on in the spring, which will probably take me away from reading more than I would like. So if you have read any of those and would like to tell me about them, or if you have any recommendations of which of those you think I ought to consider starting with, please let me know. I will report back once I have begun one of them. Thank you very much for stopping by my channel.